Because the thing is, can you start this from absolutely $0? Yes. But your likelihood to succeed is pretty much like 2%, right? And the reality is 99% of people are not going to do the work it takes to succeed from zero, right? But from 10,000, all you got to do is just put it into these three avenues I teach you, and you're good, right? And then just wait. And when that shit happens, if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to be successful, right? But if you start from zero, I mean, you got to cold call for 6 hours a day, every day, nonstop, until your skill set and your effort match each other, which takes about a year. Who's doing that?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Scorpion S podcast. Today I have a very influential real estate investor, flipper, coach, Aram Ghazaryan. Aram, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, brother.
So I was really excited to get you on because you are constantly showing kind of like a live stream or like what it's like in the day of a real estate investor. And for the folks that know me, they know I have a real estate background in a couple investments, done a couple duplexes, syndicated a 10 unit in Cincinnati.
Nice.
So I'm excited to have this conversation because you're in it every single day and you've built a very impressive business for yourself. I feel like the audience is very interested in learning how you did that and maybe getting some insights on how they can either copy you or learn from you as a coach.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I'm curious, have you always been in real estate or was there a different career path that you were on before you got into this?
Do we count college years or no?
Yeah. Hit me with the before times.
So when I was like 17, I wanted to be a police officer just so I could drive a Charger.
Yeah.
But then I looked in the mirror. I'm like, too short for that. I'm not fighting crime. So I switched to engineering, and then I switched to business because I just wanted to own a business one day.
Yeah.
So my grand plan was get a degree, get a job, save money, start a business at 30. And then when I got my business degree, I'm like, these classes are so easy. Or in the process of getting my business degree, I might just start a business. I'm not going to university, spending another 40 grand, waste 2 years of my life and have zero when I leave, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm like, I started doing some research and I landed on real estate because all the rich people are in it. So I'm like, if I want to be rich, the math makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And but the issue with that is you need money. So I'm like, how do I get the money? YouTube algorithm took me to being a real estate agent.
Yep.
So at 21, I got my license. It's been the only career or industry I've been in since.
Okay. So did you end up finishing college or you said, screw this,
I said, screw this, bro.
I'm chasing the bag.
But I do have 2 degrees.
Okay.
They're both associate's degrees from community college.
2 + 2 = 4.
Exactly, right? So I'm still, I got degrees, just not bachelor's.
Yeah, I think that that mentality is a little antiquated, as a millennial who was forced into the pipeline of go to college, get a degree, get a job, and you'll be fine lifestyle. Obviously, that not pan out for a lot of us. So, we're holding
Sorry to hear that.
some student debt, and we had to pursue alternate careers. So the fact that you kind of like saw the future and were able to choose your path earlier on is very courageous.
Thank you.
So how long were you at, I guess, like the real estate agency before you were like, this is just not enough, this is too slow? Like, what were you thinking at that time?
So my plan was always to be an investor. I just didn't figure out any other way to make money. So that's why I got my license. And my goal was as soon as I start making money as an agent, I'm going to figure out how to transition out of it, right? Anyone that's an agent, their goal is to transition out of production. It's not a real career. It's like you're just constantly hustling and you give up one boss to have like 50 bosses. Every client's a boss now, right?
Yeah.
So at about, I think I was 25, I finally cracked 6 figures. So my bills were finally paid.
Okay.
And I had time to actually sit back and be like, okay, I want to start investing now. What do I do? Right? And my first thought is, okay, I'll just flip a house. And it took me 9 months to find my first flip. And then we flipped that. And then I didn't like it. So then I transitioned to just buying apartment buildings similar to you.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 buildings. I did not like it, but I'm like, this is slow. Like, how do you get rich doing this, man? I'm making like $2,000 a month after everyone's paid. I'm like, this is not going to pay anyone's bills, right? So then I started, I was still an agent, thank God. But then I started doing flips at a higher level. And then I'm like, oh, this is scalable. So by year 6, I got into investing. Year 7, I got out of production fully. And I was been a full-time agent since full-time investor since 23.
Okay. So we made a big leap from your first flip to 7-8 years later, and I think that's part of the equation, right? Is that everybody wants the end goal, but nobody is, well, I won't say nobody, but very few people are willing to take that journey of just day in and day out grinding and putting in the years of work to get to that place. So I want to talk a little bit about the journey. So when we were young real estate investors, obviously there's 5, 10, 15 different ways to invest in real estate. You can be a passive investor where you just give somebody a check and hopefully get a check in return. You can buy a single family home. You can do short-term rentals, flips, syndications, etc. How did you come to choose flipping in the first place?
I'm gonna go with it chose me.
Okay.
Because I did my first flip 6-7 years into the game, right? No, 6 years into the game. And I didn't like it, bro. I'm like, this is stressful. I just busted my ass and I made because I do everything with investors, right? So I don't keep the whole pie. So I ended up making like 20 grand on the first flip.
Okay.
I didn't invest any money, but I'm like, it's a lot of work. I might just sell 3 houses, right? Make the same money, a lot less stress.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually like it because I didn't know what I was doing, right? When you're winging it, you're a lot more stressed, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that's why I went into the apartment building side. And then but when I sold my first flip, I was sitting on a lot of cash because the investor didn't want to take his money back. He's like, figure out a way to do more. I'm like, okay. So I spent like 3 grand on mailers, which I would never spend my own money. I'm like, it's terrifying, 3 grand.
Yeah.
But when you have so much sitting, I'm like, okay, let's spend 3 grand on mailers.
Yeah.
And then I got like a bunch of phone calls, led nowhere, bro. Led nowhere. And then at that point, I'm like, yeah, the flipping's not it because I really want to get into bigger deals. But I'd rather make $200,000 in the course of like a year or two versus 20 on one deal and do that 50 times, right? And about almost a year later, so this is May of 22. Now, fast forward to like April of 23, I get a call from a guy named Randy. And he's like, I got your mail I want to sell. I'm like, what the talking about? What? Who? And it was in Schaumburg, bro. I went, I saw it. It's a beautiful property. I bought it with a hard money loan. I barely used any money. Like I think it was like 30 grand. And 92 days later, I sold it for $60,000 pure profit.
No way.
And I didn't do anything. Like I spent maybe 10 hours at that project. I was like, oh, wow, if you do this right,
interesting.
This actually works. Let me spend more money on these mailers, see how it goes. Spend more money, found 3 more deals. I'm like, this works.
That's wild because, when we were in our education phase as real estate investors, we were in early when Bigger Pockets was like not this huge conglomerate that it was. It was kind of like a fledgling podcast with a couple books, and it was still valuable back then. But that was like one of the first things they were talking about was doing direct mailers and getting those touch points out there. Yeah. It just seems like the knee-jerk reaction is like, this is not going to work. Like, I hate getting junk mail. I see these signs all over the place. Like, we'll buy your house for cash. And like, as an outsider, you just feel like that'll never work.
Exactly.
But the fact that you were able to, I guess, have the opportunity to try it with low risk to yourself, and then you saw it pay off in the long run is like, that's all you need is that one hit to be like,
that's it, baby.
All right, let's exponentially increase the investment on this. That's true. To that point, what was your like education in real estate like when you were getting up to speed? So obviously you were winging it on the first flip, and you're a young real estate agent, but like, were you diving into podcasts, books, anything, or was it really just like the agent training?
So the 6 years I was an agent, I always wanted to be an investor, so I've always was in the Bigger Pockets, reading all the books.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of knowledge on investing, just no execution, right? No personal experience. And my last 2 years, my business really only took off when I started representing investors. So even though I hadn't done a deal, I think I helped like 30, 40 investors make money.
Okay.
So I had kind of seen the front end and the back end so many times. And I got annoyed. I'm like, how many people are going to make a few $100,000 off me before I buy some shit?
Right.
Right. So that's kind of how I was able to learn. So I'm very fortunate where when I got into my first deal, I kind of already knew a lot of things. I knew the transactional side easily. Like I knew how to sell the house, what the house was worth.
Yeah.
The only real thing I didn't know was construction. Right. Because how do you determine what the hell you should pay if you don't know if it's an $80,000 job or a $40,000 job? You know? One thing you might, in your head, might look like a $100K rehab, but it's like, oh my God, this is $30,000. It's just drywall repair, framework, we're good, right? And so that's kind of something I had to learn, which I leaned on my GC a lot. And I was like, okay, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I need your help, right? And he kind of worked with me, taught me the game. He taught me his business as well. So now that I have that down, it becomes a lot easier to like get all the numbers, and that's about all.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that, because through our real estate journey, you know, you always have to go through the first time, right? Like, first time we bought a duplex, you know, we were doing it by ourselves. We didn't have like a GC or anything. And then you go through these, luckily it was, so the first house we bought was already, I would say, turnkey. It was kind of like from the ground up rebuild. So we did a house hack, right? So we lived in one unit, rented the top unit to some buddies, but every house has its demons. Sometimes they're just buried deep in, and you go through these house ownership issues where we call it experience, right? Like once things happen to you once, hopefully you retain that knowledge and you learn for the next time. But the best way to do it is learn from others' mistakes and experience. So talk to me about, how did you align with like the right GC, or like kind of absorb his knowledge? Because in your game, every dollar that you can squeeze out of the deal is profit. And the way to get that is probably avoiding costly mistakes, right?
But so you got to avoid costly mistakes at all costs, pun intended. But for me, so my GC was actually a client of mine. Okay. Right. So I helped him buy his first, same thing, house hack. He bought a 3 flat, and he's up like $200K in equity already. So he's happy. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And along the way, you know, he kind of, I referred him to a few of my friends, and like I became close friends with him. Right. And when it was time to do my flip, that's why I was able to lean off him. So I purely got lucky there. Right. Because if I had to figure this out all on my own, oh my God, I'd overpay. I even still overpaid, right? I overpaid on cabinets, countertops, and some like small materialistic items, right? But it is what it is. You live and you learn. So yeah, got lucky.
Yeah. So now that you've done, so how many flips have you done by now, do you think?
Last year we did 10. So I just got into it. So last year we did 10. The year prior we did 3. This year I've already got 12. Okay. So this year I'll do 30.
Okay. So you're already at 20 to 30 flips under your belt. Yeah. What are some common things that you've grown to know that were like, now you don't even need like a GC to tell you like, okay, I know that's going to be XYZ dollars. That's going to be easy to fix. Like, what are some of like the common things that you're always taking down?
Flooring. At this point, I know like what my price per square foot for floor is. That's the easiest to calculate. Yeah. Like, okay, my labor costs like $250. Then it's like, okay, how much is underlayment and the actual LVP going to cost me? Yeah. Right. So it's easy to calculate. Oh, it's a 2,000 square foot house. Let's say it's $5 with labor and material. Easy to determine your floor price. Right. Paint. When you do enough houses at like 1,400 square feet, you're like, okay, the last guy charged me $3,000. I know I'm gonna be around $3,000 for paint. Let me juice it to 500 more. Be safe. Right. Bathrooms. Cost of vanities, cost of cabinets, cost of countertops. Once you've done them enough times, like, okay, I know an L-shaped kitchen. It's gonna cost me about $1,800. Sure. So there's no reason for me to like be like $3,000 for cabinet countertops. Yeah. I think a lot of new people make that mistake is they have such an overestimation on everything. Like for example, if a job is gonna cost me $40,000, when I'm doing my overestimations, I'm probably at $45,000. This shit's always gonna go left. Yeah. Right. But if you like overestimate, like okay, if it might take us 65, but you might not say yes to that deal because you think it's gonna cost $20,000 more than it actually is. Right. Right. So that's why you got to, once you fine tune your cost, it becomes a lot easier to be like, okay, I'll do this deal or I won't do this deal.
Yeah, especially in the market nowadays with interest rates and prices going up. I mean, I know there's always deals out there if you know your stuff, but it is, I will say it's probably harder to find those deals if you don't know how to look. And if a deal's not penciling, it could be because you don't know your numbers as well as you should.
Exactly.
You hit on something earlier that I wanted to touch on. You were talking about how you were making other people money. Yeah. And you were like, when am I going to get my cut, right? And
maybe a piece of that, man.
One of the things that I have subscribed to is that in order for you to get rich, you need to make other people rich.
I agree.
And I think you were doing that with your investors, and now you're also doing it with coaching as well, correct?
Correct. So I do it in multiple ways. I used to do it for my clients who were investing. Now I do it for my investors who invest with me, and my GCs, my subcontractors, my attorneys, my title reps. When you're flipping, it's everybody getting paid. So still same thing.
What's your coaching program look like? Like who's your target audience and what are you teaching them?
So target audience is someone that has around $10,000 and wants to start doing flips. and his goal is to do like 2 to 3 years first year, right? And you got to have a little bit of free time, and you got to have some balls.
Mm-hmm.
If you have those things, I can help you, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is like I spent 9 years learning everything I learned, right? But I could teach it to you in like a month.
Sure.
Right? So why would you spend 9 years trying to learn something when I could teach it to you in a month?
Right.
Especially if you're local. Oftentimes, I have 9 years of experience. If I could teach you how to find a deal and you bring me the deal, that deal, if we do it together, actually makes us all more money.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a win-win solution. So that's kind of what I teach.
So that 10 grand, is that like your fee to,
God, no.
to become a student, or that's
No.
like, this is working capital?
That's working capital,
Okay.
right? Because the thing is, can you start this from absolutely $0? Yes. But your likelihood to succeed is pretty much like 2%, right? And the reality is 99% of people are not going to do the work it takes to succeed from zero, right? But from 10,000, all you got to do is just put it into these three avenues I teach you, and you're good, right? And then just wait. And when that shit happens, if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to be successful, right? But if you start from zero, I mean, you got to cold call for 6 hours a day, every day, nonstop, until your skill set and your effort match each other, which takes about a year. Who's doing that?
Hit that like button on the comment section if you love cold calling, because I do not.
I hate that stuff. I don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do it. That's why I'm like, listen, I'm not even going to teach you on how to do that. Yeah.
That's so that's a piece of advice I give young guns that are looking to get into real estate, is that I tell them, you go save $10,000 in cash and then come talk to me, because it takes discipline and you have to set up your own personal systems to get to that point. And you and I both know 10 grand is not a lot of money,
right?
But it's also not a little. It's purely principle. If you can save 10 grand in cash, that means that you can stick to a process, you can commit to a goal, and then I know that your mindset's in the right place. Then we can talk, how do we scale this thing?
Yeah.
So talk to me about some of the worst flips that you've done, maybe some of the sideways projects, because not everything can go perfectly, and not to scare the audience out of doing it, but like you said, it takes balls to do this stuff, courage.
Ain't that the truth?
So tell me some of your horror stories.
I actually just got done with one right now. So I've been very fortunate that up to this point, I really have had nothing wrong. I've never lost a profit. I remember less than like $20,000 on any deal. But this one was just a nightmare to deal with, dude. So lesson of the day, don't buy a put-together house, like a glued-together house, right? So we bought this house from this lady who's owned it for 45 years, right? Wow. So they just kept adding to it. So there's like an addition that used to be a garage. Then they built a carport, and it's like, there's no fucking AC, but there's a furnace in the ceiling that's illegal, I didn't know any of these things. And there was a fire. Throw that in there, right? There was a fire. So I walk out. It was a mailer. I walk in. I'm like, oh, God, this place looks like shit. I walk out. I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy it. So I lowball it, right? And then, but it was sitting on a double lot. So my eyes, I'm like, I'm looking across new construction. I'm like, give me a second. Let me step out for a second. I was there with my GC, and my GC and I are partners now, right? So he owns 50% of everything. I'm like, okay, bro, I'm not doing this deal if you're not giving me at cost, right?
Yeah.
And then we run the numbers. I'm like, all right, we could still make 55K. Let's get back in there.
Okay.
We get back in there. I think I was like, dude, the most I'm gonna pay her is 145. She go in. She's like, look, I got an offer for around 155, but she's on her way now, or she's on her way later this afternoon. I'm like, I'll give you 148 right now. I'm here. Yeah. I seen the house. It's a piece of shit. And I'm ready to go.
What neighborhood is this?
This is Oak Lawn.
Okay.
And it was like fenced off, trees everywhere. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Right. Long story short, we get for 149.
Okay.
Right. She counted like, split the difference. I'm like, okay. Right. So we get it. We start construction. And then every week I get a call from my GC. It's a lot more than we thought. I'm like, why? He's like, we open up the walls. Electrical got to go. We need new plumbing. I'm like, why do we need new plumbing? He's like, bro, it's shot. I'm like, okay. Need a new roof. I'm like, okay. And then just new framing. I'm like, okay.
Or you're like, you're the GC, man. Why didn't you tell me any of this stuff?
Well, we didn't know because the walls were all closed up.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? When it comes to like fire damage, you don't really know where it's happening. Right? So we start doing this work, and it costs us a little bit more, but we were still going to make about $55,000 when it's all said and done. I was like, I can live with that.
As long as you're on track, like you're like, okay,
track, right?
Yeah.
And then we go under contract. We get an offer for more than we expected. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
First offer backed out. Second offer went through, right? We're about a week or two from closing. As you know, you apply for the transfer stamp so you can get your deed, boom, boom, boom. we get a message from the city. Hey, glad you're pulling the transfer stamp, but it looks like you renovated without permit, so please call the building department.
Oof.
I'm like, no way. Because you don't want to be caught after the work.
Right.
Catch me mid-work,
Yeah.
then we're good. Because I don't have a buyer to deal with. I could fix everything. Everything's open. Like, it's super easy, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, okay. Call the building department. They're like, what are you calling us for? I'm like, you told me.
Yeah.
They bring an inspector out. The guy walks in for 3 minutes. He's like, I need architectural drawings. So now I need to go get an architect to basically do pre-architectural drawings and then post-architectural drawings.
Here's what it will look like when we're done.
Exactly. So we're like, all right, do it this way.
Yeah.
So that's 1,600.
Oof.
Boom. The taker starts there, right?
Yeah.
We submit it, and then we wait like a week. Then we're on a deadline here. We're supposed to close, right?
Yeah.
And we wait a week. I'm on their ass. They're not answering my phone calls. Finally, they denied it. They're like, well, we need you to remove the carport, remove the fence, and increase the access space for the attic.
Oh, man.
I'm like, remove the carport. It's been there for 45 years. The buyer is expecting a carport,
Yeah.
for God's sakes. Long story short, I was trying to fight him on like keeping a carport. We take the carport down. I'm like, okay,
Fine.
let's go get our inspection out the way. We could close. Guy shows up for the inspection. Does a full rough inspection. But pause, first and foremost. Didn't show up to the first inspection because I had to email them telling them the work was done. So I drove there for an hour, wasted my time, came back.
So they're just gigging you for admin process and money and this and
bro.
that, like everything they could get you
$100
for.
an inspection, by the way.
Nothing's free.
So nothing's free. And Lord knows, guy comes in, gives me 2 pages of updates. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like on your website, all the work that I did not require a permit. That's why we didn't pull anything.
Yeah.
Now you got me doing all this shit. He's like, yeah, but we're here.
Oh, man.
I'm like, you're a mother. I'm like, whatever. So we do all the work, right? And now I'm paying rate lock extension fees for the buyer because now I can't close.
Mm-hmm.
I've already spent $1,600 on freaking the architectural drawings. Now I have to redo all my venting. I have to update all my outlets again, and some other electrical work, some plumbing work, and then I had to add like smoke detectors that weren't there, so we have to wire it in. It's disaster. It cost me another $9,000 or some shit.
Oof.
And then
So meanwhile, your profit's just going like this.
That deal ended up making $30,000.
So you took a what, 40-something% hit on the profit?
Yeah.
And is this something that could have been avoided or no? Because you mentioned like you were looking at the website and it didn't sound like you needed permits for this stuff. So you're like, I'm good.
It could have been 100% avoided.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, what I do now, what I learned from this thing is even though I didn't do nothing against the law on the interior, right?
Yeah.
The previous owner did everything wrong.
Okay.
So now I'm dealing with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? So what I do now is, and moving forward, I tell my GC, we're going to email them. Don't call them because Susan might forget they spoke to us, right?
Yeah.
Send an
Paper trail.
email. This is what we're doing. This is the address. Do I need a permit? What permit do I need?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we say we're doing cosmetic rehab every single time, right? We got to have some fun here, right?
Yeah.
and then like a couple of cities said, no, you're good to go, right? And then Oakland said you need a kitchen permit for this thing you're doing. I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
'Cause we have another in Oakland.
Yeah.
And look, no problem. But now they're dragging ass on approving my permit. So I'm like, I'm 3 weeks behind on the job because they want to approve my permit.
So no one's ever going to be motivated to move fast enough to get your deal done than you, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
everybody else is just living their lives on their own timeline, especially if they're a government employee, no offense. They're just...
And I'll offend them.
Yeah.
Sick of them.
As a prior government employee, I can say that. Some of them are just, collecting their paychecks. So they're not motivated to like get you what you need. And you're over here running a business.
Yeah.
Investors calling you. You got people trying to get the deal done. It's just stress, close.
Yeah.
Next deal. Stress, close.
We have
next deal.
8 of these. So
Yeah.
Ugh.
So how do you manage all this stress? Are you staying fit? Are you eating well? Like how are you doing?
I eat well. I stay as fit as I can be. I just had surgery, so I can't really do too many active things. I just mostly walk and like do light lifts.
Yeah.
But it's really not that stressful, bro. It's just almost like you're in it so often. It's just another day.
Yeah.
So I don't wake up like, oh my God, It's just like, okay. At some point, you're like, I'm over it. What do you want, Kevin? What, you want me to tear the house down? Okay, we tear the house down.
You know what? At this point.
We have another one. Actually, this one's the bad one, dude. We finished the remodel. Everything's ready to go. We literally, it's the 30th. Cleaning lady's going on the 30th. They tell me like, hey, the tub's not draining. Like, Okay, we'll get the plumber out there.
Mhm.
It's the 30th, so we got New Year's to worry about. Plumber gets out there on the 1st or 2nd, right? We get a call. Ooh, we got a problem. Mind you, it's
Champagne
clean
cork
photos.
down the
What's
tubes.
up?
Champagne cork down the tube.
I wish. Backup of the main line, and I'm the first floor unit. It's a condo. So as 3rd floor, 2nd floor go handle their business, it all ends up in my unit
Ugh.
because it's all back up. So I have 2 inches of poop
Ugh.
all over my place. And I'm like, I don't even know who's supposed to fix this. But thank God the HOA handled it. But we are 3 months delayed on that job because the HOA gutted the place,
Mhm.
and then they spent 3 months waiting for the insurance to approve the drywall repair.
So meanwhile, you got open walls and stuff for what, months?
I got open wall for months. I'm paying $1,200 on the money I borrowed, and I'm paying $465 in HOA fees. So every month, my profit's already down $7,000, right? But what happens is you get some bad deals, but then we have a deal that we're about to make $88,000 on. So it all balances out to about 25 to 30K in my pocket after everybody eats. So
if you like a paycheck every 2 weeks on the 1st and 15th, real estate investing is not for you. Let me just put that disclaimer
get a
out
government
here
job.
now. Yeah, it's I mean, the last deal I did with my partners, we did a syndication.
Yeah.
So we bought a 10-unit in Cincinnati, and it had an office retail space too. And we had investors, and it was supposed to be a 5-year play, right?
Mhm.
As soon as we buy the property, you know, labor costs start going up, material costs start going up.
Yeah.
Can't find good contractors.
What year was this?
We purchased, it was like December of 21, maybe.
God, that's a horrible time.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
a great time, but also like everything that you describe is happening.
well,
Yeah.
here's the thing too, is like in real estate investing, you can't time the market, right?
Impossible,
So like
yeah.
you just gotta jump in. So all of our pro formas and all of our numbers are totally shot from day one.
Yeah.
And this was, what's that law? Murphy's Law, where if it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was this property. Our tenant that was occupying the office space just up and left, even though he had a signed lease. So get on the call with the lawyers. They're like, well, best you can do is go to small claims court, and the max you're going to win is maybe 10 grand, but you're going to spend thousands in legal fees to get there. So we're pretty much like, well,
What's the point?
what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll just rehab it and get a new tenant in there. And then, I mean, it was like a constant battle with some of these tenants. Like, they were like forgetting their keys and then like kicking in the front door. So we replaced the front doors like 3-4 times.
bro.
I'm telling you, like, everything
Was this
that
in the hood?
it was, we'll call it an up and coming area of Cincinnati.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
A lot of upside potential if it went right. But
Right.
long story short, we pretty much broke even on the project. And I will say this: do not syndicate a deal as your first time syndicator. We read a bunch of books. We're all smart guys, college degrees, and we had a couple deals under our belt. So we managed it. But if you're going to go that route, partner with somebody that's done like 10 or 20 syndications and learn the systems first. And then if you want to go start your own business, do it that way.
The cheat code is finding someone that's already done it, giving them a piece,
Yep.
learning the right way, and then doing your own thing.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a shortage of deals ever.
No.
Right? So
Let me let me talk to you about kind of like the business aspect of you guys. Like, what kind of processes are you putting in place that you've learned from mistakes before? Like, now we do checklists, or like these are the softwares we use to be efficient in the project management.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still a barbarian.
Yeah.
We have Monday and Thursday meetings where I have a piece of paper and I write down our goals for the week.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Okay.
Right? I'm big on, the reason I brought my GC in as a business partner, not just a GC, because one, when certain money is involved, you're a lot more involved, right? And also, it completely handles the project management side of things, right? And he does not have to worry about finding deals, and I don't have to worry about managing deals, right? So he has his systems for what he does, and I have my systems for how to find deals and shit like that. So that's kind of like, it's a perfect, boom, combination of two things. So that's pretty much the only thing, bro. I find a deal, I give it to my GC. I know we have a system of like, okay, we're going to go see this, the work I want to get done. Do we have a baseline price point? Go. And then we just do progress reports like every week.
Okay. So not to give away all the secret sauce of your coaching biz or whatever, but do you have like a framework for finding deals? Do you have like a CRM where you keep the leads, or like how are you keeping track of like,
Yeah.
oh, I emailed this person, this is the person I texted, cold call, whatever?
So I use a combination of like virtual callers
Mm-hmm.
and mailers,
Okay.
right? Mailers are super easy because they're inbound leads, right? Someone's going to call you already interested in selling. It's just a matter of his price and your price got to be close,
Right.
right? And oftentimes it's not. But if you know if there's even a tether of a chance, just follow up with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you're sending mail, it's not like you have 50 people to follow up with. It's 3 people,
Yeah.
right? You can literally pin them at the top of your thing. You know, if you have an iPhone. If you don't, sorry. You just, boom, okay, I text this guy once a month. Yo, you interested in selling? Like I have a deal closing probably Tuesday of next week, just because the guy called me in mid-January and it says, I'll talk to my wife. And then he's like, yeah, we're interested in selling, but maybe not right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then he texts me random, like, yeah, I'm ready to go, right? And then when it comes to the virtual callers, when I call them, if there's any interest, generally speaking, they're ready to sell right away.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not, I have a baseline idea. I'm like, all right, they're about 2 months away. Cool. I'm going to follow up within a month. And then usually it leads somewhere.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I do it.
Okay. And, you know, I come from a marketing and sales background back when I was in corporate. So we talk about like the sales funnel all the time. Like how many leads are you trying to get into your system every month in order to get to the deals that you want to do?
That's the right way to do it. But I'm still a barbarian, bro. It's like they just come to me at this point too. Also, a lot of my students will bring me deals too.
Okay.
I'd say a good 30% of my deals come from students doing the same shit I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. So it works out. I'm like, all right, well, I'm already buying 3-4 houses. What's the point of like, I can't buy any more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're kind of tapped out on like the amount of work that you want to be doing at this point in time.
Once you get into flipping, I mean, it's what I realized, bro. It's very similar to being an agent. The only benefit is it is a bigger business, right? As an agent, when you sell $7 million worth of production, you're just like, okay, you're a little bit better than average, right?
Yeah.
But as a flipper, when I'm $7 million worth of property that I own, right? That means I purchased it probably for like 5.5. So like, there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and I love that. But it's still a hustle.
Yeah.
We're still going deal to deal, right? The minute I stop, money stops, right? And it's not exitable. So I'm really using flipping just to stack up a lot of cash so I can get into better and bigger business opportunities, right? And I think that's what everybody should be doing. If you're trying to build a business, you're trying to be a flipper for 30 fucking years, trust me, you're not going to be very happy, and you're not going to have a lot of hair, right? We have great hair over here, so
That's
because we plan to leave, the flipping game. I got 2 years in this, and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Stack my cash and go into like bigger commercial deals, invest in businesses, find operators, and be like, here's money, give me return.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a key that a lot of successful business people are doing is, number one, like, and as an outsider looking in, you see these people that are successful, right? They have the systems, they got the deals, they got the cash flow that you want, but they're not sitting there like resting on their laurels and just like watching the checks come in. They're hustling just as much as they were day one. Yeah. It's just that they're doing it on a different level than you. So don't think that once you make it, it's going to be easy and you're sipping pina coladas. Like, you're still hustling. It's just you're used to it and you have the experience, and it's just like that's your new normal.
One thing I also noticed recently is like I always thought like when I was like not making money, I'm like, why all these rich people don't like live as lavishly as they could? Like you making 800 grand a year, like you should be balling, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you driving a regular car? What's going on here? You can get 2 Lambos today, right? But then I get there and I'm sitting, I'm like, oh my God. Just because you're making a lot of money doesn't mean you have a lot of money. So similar to what you're saying is like, yes, I make a lot a month, but if for me to make the same or more the next month, that money got to go again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So even though we're making a lot of active, because I'm still scaling, it doesn't feel like I have a lot of money. Right? Because I don't. It's all gone. It's, like literally we spent like what, 30 grand last week? It's gone.
Yeah.
Where did it go? 4 houses were purchased,
Money is a tool. And it is
keep
not
it in motion,
permanent.
baby.
So as long as it's working for you, that's great. And as long as your lifestyle doesn't outcreep what you're bringing in, then you're safe.
It's getting close. It's getting close. So we're dialing it back.
But on the other side, you got to celebrate the wins too.
This is true.
We have a tradition. Me and my buddies that do real estate deals, that when we buy a house or we close a house, we go out to a nice steak dinner. Just something small, right? Like a couple $100, whatever. But just take the time, celebrate all of the work that you did. Finally wrote the check, or you got the thing signed. You have the keys in the hand, so you're not like sitting there at the closing table and like, what's gonna go wrong now? It's like it's done. Enjoy it, because this will not last, and you keep moving on to the next one. So celebrate the wins. What do you do to celebrate your wins every once in a while?
So when I was doing like 3 flips or 5 flips, it was just steak dinner once it sells. But now it's like, well, am I gonna have steak dinner 3 times a month? Like this gets a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
So I don't really celebrate the wins anymore because it's just another job. You know,
Sure.
like the flair of it, like, yo, we closed it, is gone.
Yeah.
Right now, I put a listing up. I'm like, okay, great. You know, we got a bunch of showings. All right, there's an offer. Like the excitement is kind of gone, right? So no real.
Maybe
Yeah.
you and your GC need to set like some business goals, like when we hit like X revenue or this many flips, like you gotta put some flags in the sand.
Oh, when we crack that million,
yeah.
Big yacht.
All
Big
right,
yacht.
you know what? Now that you brought up the big M word, I noticed on your Instagram you said you built a $2 million rental portfolio in 1 year.
Yeah.
So what does that look like to like the layman investor?
Okay,
Is
great
that
question.
one $2 million house? Is it 10 single family homes?
It's 2 apartment buildings.
Okay.
Right. So I bought 2 buildings pretty much within 2 months of each other for $730,000. I got lucky because they were the exact same building twice. Right. So copy paste.
Yeah.
So when I bought it 730, and if you're in the commercial side, it's like a business. And you guys do the same thing. It's all based on the NOI, right? I'm looking at the rent in LaGrange Park. I'm like, you charging $600 for a 1 bedroom? I don't know shit about commercial real estate, but I know that's low.
That sounds cheap as
That sounds cheap as hell, right? So I bought it, and I didn't renovate any units that were already occupied. I just sent an email, raise rents by $400 on everybody, and they all stayed.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. Like, y'all paying $600 a month. What?
All that money you saved for the last 10 years.
I need it back.
Yeah.
You know? So I raised it, like, I had like 6 tenants that I raised them to 1,000, and I renovated 1 unit, and I raised it to like 1,300. And actually there was 2. One was we fully renovated. One was that was renovated. They were charging $850. Like $850. I got it rented for $1,250 like in a week.
Wow.
Right. So that's how, as you know, that increases the like the actual value of the property very quickly.
Very quickly.
And I had 1 more vacancy, so I was able to get one of them up again. And then when I bought the other one, I learned from my first building. I'm like, kept the rents way too low. So I jacked this one up to like 1,100 off the rip. I'm like, that's what the rent's gonna be. All right. And everybody stayed. Renovated 1 unit, and I charged $1,400. So basically, I increased the income by like 25-30%, right? And I got my cost down as much as I could. So my NOI at the time was around 68 to 70,000. And then based on the cap rates, that's what it was worth.
Yeah.
Now with the interest rates going up, the income is like killing me a little bit, you know. But that's how it's each of them were worth $1 million.
So for those that aren't into the commercial real estate space, this is how. So commercial properties, apartment buildings are 5 units and above.
Yep.
And the way they're valued is not comped. Like you can't find a 10-unit apartment building and say, well, the one down the block sold for $2 million. This one's $2 million. No, it's imagine they're ran as a business, right? And the net operating income is how it is valued in the market. So when you say that you raised rents $400 times however many units you had in the property, 400 times how many units was in the building?
14 total, 7 each.
Yeah, so 7 or 14 times 400 brings in an exponential amount of income on the property, which then in turn increases the building's value by, what'd you say, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
It's
I think like overnight, if I wanted, I could have sold it for like $850.
Yeah, commercial property is a game of scale, and these are the deals, like the golden deals that commercial real estate investors look for, because this is a management opportunity. It's not necessarily like a value add where you have to rehab and flip and all this stuff.
Right.
It's you can add value to these properties just by creating operational efficiencies, which is what you did.
Yeah.
And to make hundreds of thousands of dollars and just saying your rent's going up. I mean, that's pretty magic.
And I'm still the lowest rent. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, you didn't have to gouge
room.
people. So you're not like one of those landlords that's kicking out single mothers.
Nah, single moms have a soft spot, but anybody else could get the hell out.
Yeah, so as you're building this business and continuing to flip, are you actively looking for investors all the time to put money into your deals?
I was like last year, but this year I have like a group of like 5 people that I'm already comfortable working with. So I just keep their money in circulation. If I meet somebody new at this point, it's like, you got to have a lot of money, right? Like if you don't have like $500,000 or $1 million that you want to put to work, it doesn't make sense for me to establish a new relationship with somebody if they have like 50,000, right? So, and then it's because it's also at this point, it's so much cheaper for me just to use my own money. And I don't need a lot of it because my hard money lending is so cheap that I'm getting 90% leverage on everything plus 100% rehab. All I got to do is 10% down. So I'll buy a $300,000 home. That's 30 grand for me to do that job.
Yeah.
I have 30 grand.
Yeah.
You know, I got to go raise money, deal with, investors, my guys I love, but new people, I don't know how they work. Right.
That's a concept I've been seeing come up a lot lately in different verticals where it's like, do you want to deal with the customer that's buying a $50 software a month package and it's like their last $50, so it's like very meaningful to them, and they're gonna be picky, or do you want to sell like a $5,000 a month package where they're like, all right, I wrote the check, like
easy deal with? Yeah. I found that's exactly why I don't do I have a minimum, right? And I always ask them, listen, if this is your last 50 grand, you're stupid if you give it to me.
Yeah.
All right. Did you need this money more than I need this money?
Yeah.
Right. And something's gonna happen in your life. You're gonna come to me like, my car needs to be replaced. I need my 50 grand back. Well, you're gonna be upset about the answer because the job's not done.
The answer is no.
The answer is no, exactly. Unless you want to go get 50 from somebody else, be my guest.
Yeah.
So now I just like, I'm really ideal investor. Also, you gotta understand who your ideal investor is, right? You got a lot of money that's making you zero. Let me pay you 12%.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of my ideal investor. I'm not really looking for people who want to multiply their money. Your money's not making you any. Let me help you.
Sure.
Yeah.
What neighborhoods do you like to invest in the most? Are you downtown or are you more suburbs?
I'm all suburbs. I got one property I'm buying in Chicago, but it's like on literally the border of Burbank, right? So it's like across the street. But that's as close as I've gotten to touching like Chicago. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I try to stay in like C-class neighborhoods or better. I know there's a lot of money to be made in the lower class neighborhoods, but the headaches are just not worth it. Like,
you got to find that perfect medium, right?
This is the perfect medium because I don't go to my projects ever, right?
What do you mean?
Like I don't check on, like, we have 3 or 4 active right now, 1 listed, and then like we're buying 4 more, right? I don't see these houses.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to go there. We're doing the same thing on every single one of them. And I just only go when it's time to take the photos.
Right.
Right. So it's like, if I was buying in areas where like we might be broken into, our AC units are stolen, we need to hire security. Like, I'm like, I'm not dealing with that shit.
Yeah.
You don't know what the fuck's going to happen to your house if you haven't been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Micromanaging is not ideal. I mean, you already have enough stress as the project manager and the business owner and stuff. I mean, you're just adding more onto your plate for no reason. Like, if you trust your partners, you trust your contractors, you already know what's needed to get done. Again, we talked about you can't control government employees when they get back to you. So it's like when it happens, right?
Just buy them donuts. I heard that works.
So have you built relationships with like government officials just from doing deals, or like...
To be honest, I never pulled permits before.
No?
Then I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I will always pull permits moving forward. Yeah. Right? Only like outside stuff that I'm like, okay, this is not cosmetic, right?
Yeah.
But now that Oakland has caught us, I know the building guy, I know the inspector, and I know the building code enforcer, or whatever officer, whatever his name is, super cool guy.
Yeah.
And they did give us a break at the end. They're like, all right, you've suffered enough. Let's give you this pass, right?
Yeah.
But I know them, but it's like, I guess as I do more deals in more cities, I probably get to know more people, but it's not really gonna make or break my business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that experience we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your goals for this business? Like, are you trying to get to a certain dollar amount in your bank account, certain number of flips? Like, I know you talked about this isn't your forever thing. So where are you trying to take this business to? And then where do you want to launch it from there? So
I'm big on figuring it out as I go.
Okay.
I'm still winging it. Like last year I did 10 and my goal is to just double this year. Right. But then I started off the year so strong, like I'd already about like 6. I was like, well, at this pace, like why would I settle for 20 when I know I could hit 30?
Yeah.
Right. So I just moved the goalpost up to 30.
Okay.
And so we're at, I think with the sold ones and the ones we have working, I'm probably around like 12 right now. And it's April.
Yeah.
Right. So I got another 18, I think easily doable.
Yeah.
Right. So goal is to hit that. And I want all these deals to be profitable. I want the business to make over $1 million.
Okay.
Right. Which this year it should. I think we're going to hover around like 1 to 1.4 million, depending on, do we do 30 projects, and however many projects we do, what are our margins going to be?
Yeah.
Right. Because our average margin before splitting with my partner is usually about 40 to 50,000 per deal. Right.
Okay.
deals make 30, some deals make 80, but it always balances out.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're saying like 40 grand times 30 properties, you're probably going to get there, and then you guys chop it up at
then we chop it
end.
up.
Yeah.
And then at that point, maybe figure out a way to like either automate that in any way I can, because I need to be able to remove myself and just let it make me money.
Yeah.
Right. And if I could do that, that'd be great. Even if I got to take less. Right. Because now if we make $1 million, I make half that. Right. But if I could figure out, maybe put in like a lead acquisition guy or something like that, pay him $100 grand. Now I'm making a little bit less, but I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, I would trade 80 grand salary to a dude to work a year for you to like not have to work at all and make 400 grand. Like,
why not?
Why would you not take that deal?
So that's kind of the plan there. And then I'm selling both my apartment buildings right now because it's time. There's nothing else I could do to that building to increase the value. We're short of like literally just gut the other units and let somebody else handle that. You know? So I'm in the process of selling those. One is already done. The other one we're like still negotiating. So we'll see what happens. And I want to take all these proceeds. Well, one, I'm just going to invest back into the flipping business. The other one, I have to 1031 exchange because I did cost seg. I don't know if you guys done those.
Tell the listeners, number one, what's 1031 exchange for new investors?
Great question. So it's basically a way to defer your tax gains, right? So if I sell this, I get all my original money back plus my profit, which will be around like 150, right? And unless I want to pay tax on that 150, I got to put it into another property, right? So 1031 exchange firm, basically when I sell it, my money is held by a third party, so I never actually get it, so therefore I can't pay taxes. And then I have like 45 days to declare, I think up to 4 properties that each could be the value of what I've sold or combined, right? And as long as I buy those within 180 days after, we don't got to pay taxes. Until the one day I decide to sell and never buy anything, which would never happen, right? So my play is to take that and then actually, instead of buying another building, because I'm finding so many deals that I could burn my money out like in like 3 to 6 months, right? So I'm going to do that, get like 3 rentals that I don't care about just for tax purposes, and then get all my capital back out and then use that capital for more like risky investments because it's already there. It's protected. And I want to go into retail.
Okay.
Retail or some type of like, I want to run a cash flowing business. I don't want to run it though. Like I want to have like, yo, you already did it. Let's open up a second location, right? So something like that. So
you want to own like a strip mall and the business that rents one of the units. So like you're going to be the Starbucks owner in the property that you own, sort of thing. Just like layers, baby, layers.
Yeah. So then I'd probably just find a retail store like center. And I'm like, okay, this is where we can get these type of businesses. All my friends are business owners.
Yeah.
I make a quick phone call. Hey, I lower your rent. Give me a little percent of that profit.
Yeah.
Figure the rest out.
There you go. See, networking.
Exactly.
And then you also mentioned cost segregation earlier. Tell us what that is for commercial properties, right?
You can work on a residential as well, but just you don't get as much.
Yeah.
Right. So if you ever wonder why real estate investors don't pay any tax, that's the secret right there. Right. Basically, what it allows you to do is you get a standard depreciation deduction. But my explanation is a cost seg allows you to itemize that deduction, which increases it, and then you can accelerate the depreciation, right? And in 22, you could have done 100% bonus depreciation. So when I bought my building, I did a cost seg study on it, and I got $118,000 in depreciation, right? Well, imagine if I made $250 that year, 118 of it is clean off, and that's not real expenses. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I just write everything off." I'm like, "But you still spent the money." I didn't spend $118,000. I have it.
Yeah.
But the government's cool if I don't pay them, right? Until I sell.
Right.
Then you have to pay the recapture tax unless you do 1031 exchange, which is why we have to do 1031 exchange.
So quick note, we are not tax professionals.
Definitely not.
Seek professional advice. We know a couple guys in the real estate game that are tax professionals, so we can link them in the comments below. But remember to do your 1031 exchanges, your cost segregations. Play the tax game, people. I'm telling you, like the rules are there for you business owners to leverage. And if you just pick up a book, read a couple textbooks or watch some YouTube videos, I mean, you could be saving thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars every year.
100%.
And the game was written for us to use. It's just people are, in my opinion, people are afraid to get into this game because of like fear of the unknown or like fear of being a business owner. It costs $150 to start an LLC. I mean, you could literally start almost any business.
Yeah.
And there's startup costs you can write off, and it all passes through to your personal taxes. So,
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Ask one of us if you want to start a business. I mean, it is not physically or intellectually difficult to start a business.
It takes time.
And start leveraging those benefits.
That's so true. Got to risk it to get the biscuit,
Absolutely.
But it's a good biscuit.
Yeah.
When you get here, oh Lord, it's good. So.
Well, this is a good segue. So usually what I like to hit on towards the end of the episode is what are some of your favorite Chicago restaurants or bars that you like to go out to when you do have time to splurge?
For the record, I have time all the time. I eat out. I'll be having Italian today.
Oh, where at?
My friend wants to take me to was it Lucia's or something like that? Lucha's?
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's in Oakbrook.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact name of it. But in the city, my favorite place is Gibson's Italia.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the vibe. I'm a big vibe guy. Food is great, but the atmosphere there, the view, it's fantastic.
That's what I tell people too. You don't get that west to east view down the river at a lot of places, and Gibson's Italia has that perfect shot right down to London House. Beautiful at night.
But you got to be upstairs.
Yeah.
Don't put me downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be upstairs. But I think that's my favorite. Other than that, I really don't go to Chicago restaurants a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Oakbrook, so everywhere I go is right there. We have a Gibson's across the street from me.
Yeah.
So I'm there frequently. But yeah, so I still have time to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Business is handled between 9 to 2 p.m. And I'll say after that, I'm free.
And one of the things I laugh every time I see it on your Instagram, you have the abundance mindset.
Oh yeah.
Tell them about you're always getting 2 coffees and 2 meals and stuff. Tell me about that.
So it all started because Starbucks started just making my coffee bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, and when you have the morning coffee you look forward to and it's bad, pisses me off.
Yeah.
Right. So I started getting, let me get a coffee you really can't mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Americano.
Yeah.
And then let me get the latte that you might put too much milk in.
Mm-hmm.
If you put too much milk in my latte, I'm just going to enjoy my Americano.
Yeah.
Life is good. I started doing it. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Doesn't cost much. It's $8 versus $4,
Mm-hmm.
So I get 2 coffees. And then one day I was at, I don't know, I think I was at a Mediterranean spot. I look at the menu. I'm like, do I want lamb chops? Do I want that mixed grill platter? What do I want today?
Yeah.
Because they don't put the lamb chops in the mixed grill platter. It drives me crazy, right? And I'm like, it's $30 each. I'll get both.
Yeah.
I don't go to Gibson's to get 2 steaks, right?
Right.
So the way I do my math, I'm like, well, if filet's $60, I'm still spending less money.
True.
So I'm like, I'm gonna get both meals.
Yeah.
And I'll know right away what I like.
Yeah.
And then nothing's worse than ordering food you regret.
Oh, can't stand that.
I haven't done that because I keep getting 2 meals.
Well, I mean, you're a numbers guy. If the math's out.
The maths, brother.
Hey.
Only when I'm indecisive though. If I know I want Chipotle today,
mm-hmm.
there's no reason for me to get Chipotle 2 times.
Right.
So that's where there's a threshold where we want to be reasonable.
For sure. Well, 2 final questions, then we'll wrap it up, and love to have you back on in a year to see how well you hit your goal. But
hopefully I'm taller.
Yeah, I'll let you borrow some of my height.
Thank you.
Do you have any other real estate folks or really cool Chicago folks that you think would be great future guests on the Scorpion Nest podcast?
I got a bunch, but none of them want to talk publicly.
Really?
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem. Because they're running their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I don't want nobody to know what I got going on.
Yeah.
So that's a shame, but I'd have to think. Real estate specific?
It could be just anyone you think is an interesting Chicago cat.
My boy Dean's pretty cool. He does the whole how much you pay in rent in Chicago. I think that's super cool. I keep watching all the videos.
Yeah.
So he's pretty cool. But I can't think of anyone else that'd be comfortable on camera and want to actually sit down and talk.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while to get comfortable on camera, and when I realized the content game was the way to scale, I just jumped in, and now it's you're having a conversation with a friend and you forget about the whole production thing. But
some people they get tight, they don't want to actually have the conversation you would have off camera.
Yeah,
you got to have on camera.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to do that.
And once you lose your anonymity, I mean, it's gone forever. So
ain't that the truth? But I tell them, how did you meet me?
Yeah.
Most of them met me they me on Instagram. How many more me's could you meet if you were out here?
Exactly.
So, but can't force them. It's what it is.
Cool. Well, for the listeners and the viewers that would love to learn more about you or follow your journey, where can they find you?
Aram G Realty on all platforms. So, and then on YouTube, just look up Aram Real Estate. I'll pop up.
Great conversation. I'm very proud of the business you've built, and it's awesome to watch you go through this journey. And I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more abundance mindset
Hell
work
yeah.
this year.